everyone. Welcome to our session today on equanimity, finding balance in a chaotic world. So I'm sure we can all agree that life has its ups and downs, its highs and lows, and we spend a lot of time in our lives doing cardio, like running towards or away from pleasure and pain. So how can we find balance? And today we are honored to have Bhante Buddharakkhita speaking with us. So a bit about Bhante. Bhante was born in Uganda, Africa. He's the founder of the Uganda Buddhist Centre and the Buddhist primary school in Uganda. Bhante is a visiting professor at Union Theological Seminary, affiliated to Columbia University in New York City. He has been teaching mindfulness meditation in Africa, in the US, Australia, and worldwide since 2005. His book, Planting Dharma Seeds, The Emergence of Buddhism in Africa, tells the story of his religious and spiritual work in Africa. So we'll begin with a talk, and Bhante, if you are okay with giving us a guided meditation at the start, and then towards the end of the session, as usual, Tina will be facilitating the question and answers discussion. So over to you, Bhante.
Yes, thank you very much for your wonderful introduction. And we'll begin with meditation for about, because this is a program of 1 hour and a half. So I thought of giving a guided meditation for about 5 to 7 minutes or like that. So definitely under 10 minutes. And then I'll give a Dhamma talk and a Q&A, right? So we start. And now sit comfortably, feel at ease. Let it go of the past and the future. And abide in the present moment. You can be aware of the sound, external sound or internal sounds. Be aware of hearing. We begin with awareness of sounds because it points to the natural quality of mindfulness. The object of sound appears and we are present. We don't have to fix the sound. We don't have to make sound come or go, but we can be aware. So we connect now with the external environment, with our internal environment, and begin our awareness or mindfulness of the whole body sitting here. As you sit, the body is sitting, and the mind knows that the body is sitting. So we can trust that process, that the body is sitting, and the mind knows that the body is sitting. It's that simple. You don't have to fix the body. You don't have to mix to really create anything new. You're paying attention to what's already happening naturally. So the whole body sitting here, be aware of the touch points, the body touching the cushion, wherever you're sitting. And then from awareness of the body, we make a smooth transition to know what the body is doing. The body is breathing in and out. We pay attention to that process of breathing in and out. Usually the breath takes not more than 2 seconds, breathing in and out. See if you can pay attention to that process. Beginning of in-breath to the end of it. Beginning of out-breath to the end of it. Really sustain your attention all the way, the whole breathing process. Can you make a distinction between awareness of the breath and feeling the breath? Can you be aware of the sensation of the breath as it comes and goes? Sometimes there's a movement as it touches the nostrils. Sometimes there's coolness, warmness. Sometimes there's nothing And just rest your awareness that you're breathing in, the body is breathing in, the mind knows that the body is breathing in, body is breathing out, the mind knows that the body is breathing out. Really, you are not creating anything new. You are paying attention to what's already happening naturally. As you breathe in and out, sometimes thoughts arises that takes your awareness away from the breath. See if you can be aware of thoughts. Again, not fixing anything, but just be aware of what's already happening naturally. Also the past, present, sometimes future thoughts. Can you be aware either planning for the future or remembering the past, or simple awareness of thinking, thinking, thinking. And we embrace everything that happens in our experience, whether it's feelings, emotions, sensations, wandering minds. So the next 3 minutes, let us just be aware whatever arises in the present moment, whether it's passing away or rising, or both arising, passing away, we can be aware. Okay, we can end our meditation and begin our meditation. Yeah, what I'm ending is guided meditation, but what we're beginning is really being mindful, or mindfulness meditation as we are listening to the talk. Thank you very much. May you be well upon this. Yes. So today we are going to have a talk. I'm going to begin a talk, so the coordinator can tell exactly what's going to happen. So I guess I can continue with my Dhamma talk.
Yes, please continue.
Okay, good. So, today I'm giving a talk on maintaining balance, equanimity, in the chaotic world. So this chaotic world, we're all familiar with this chaotic world, where the world which has post-COVID, and all of us went through COVID, the world of uncertainties. Yes, and this the world we are having, very uncertain. Life is actually uncertain, death is certain. Yeah, we've seen loss of property, fires in Australia. Even in our daily life without those calamities like fire, floods, and it's just being a human being, really being born in this man and body. So it's sometimes it can be very chaotic. And I remember one time I was in the USA in 2000, and as a person who grew up in Africa, I was not used to stay in a cold country like that. So it was winter in Massachusetts. It was a blizzard, a lot of snow. Before that, I had actually spent almost 2 weeks inside near Vermont. It was in Vermont, but near Canada, really very cold. So then from there, I came from Vermont to Massachusetts in a retreat center. And it was really continuing probably March, around March, February. There was a lot of snow. And then I told my friend, because I was not going out of the building, I told my friend that, this place is too cold. It's really bad weather. He told me, he's a doctor actually, who lived in Conway, which is, snow is not a big problem. For me, it was a problem. So I told him, this is really bad weather. I don't know what to do. And I'm here, I'm working before I became a monk. He told me, there is nothing like bad weather. That's what he told me. There is nothing like a bad weather. Then I listened, he told me that there's nothing like a bad weather, but there's bad clothing. There's bad clothing. So since I had come with all my clothes from Uganda, and I had kind of a down jacket, but it was second hand. So then shoes were still again the shoes from Uganda. So I was not really geared up to really face the winter. So I listened to him, and I went to Boston, and I started looking for, it's called R.A.I. It's actually camping store. I told him that I'm from Uganda and it's too cold for me. I want battery operated gloves, so that I can keep my fingers warm, because at the end of the tips of my fingers was so cold, and I personally want to go outside for a walk. So then they say, okay, we're looking for these gloves, mitten. He said, we don't have battery operated gloves, but we have mittens. And then they gave me ski pants, actually, very, very warm. And I got down jacket, and I got something that I was putting on my head, and only ears. Have you seen Ninja Man? So only my eyes, you can see my nose only, and my mouth, and the eyes. So I went back to the meditation center where I was working in the front office. And I geared up one day. They said, well, don't go anywhere close to the bank, because there was a bank. they would think that you're going to rob the bank, because I was all covered. So, but actually I was very warm, and I started enjoying winters actually in the United States. And I even started going for cross-country skiing. So then I learned a lesson. Well, all the ups and downs, they are there in our life, but we need to gear up. And that kind of warm clothes is mindfulness, is wisdom, is understanding, is patience, is acceptance, so that then we can really go through the weather. Yeah, like weather. And just even when you look at the metaphor, the Buddha gave a metaphor of the winds, eight worldly winds, 8 worldly winds, they come in a pair. Just like when the wind comes, the wind, we cannot stop the wind, you know, we cannot stop the wind. We cannot make it stronger. We cannot make it weaker, but we can put on windbreakers, you know. So I got a windbreaker also so that I can go through the Massachusetts wind, you know. In the morning it can be cold, it gets warmer. So I got all the warm clothes, you know. So for me, exactly what we do when wind comes, that's exactly what we need to do to maintain practice in this chaotic world where it has going and comings and hot and cold, then problems, and I mean it has also happiness. So it's just going on and on. So what are the winds? We have blame and praise. People blame and praise us. Then we get off balance. Then we have pain and happiness. We have disrepute and honor. Sometimes people honor us, you know. Then there's even profit and loss. We lose. We keep on losing our youth, our vigor, but also there's gain. Sometimes we gain wisdom. So it's really actually always the winds are blowing, you know, from side to another. So the key is to really get it into space whereby you can find some kind of refuge. So actually, as we go through equanimity, I'd like to address a few questions. One is really, what's equanimity? I even let me write down. So what is equanimity and why we practice equanimity and how? If you can address that, we call them HW questions, then I think we'll have a way how to deal with it. So what's equanimity then? Equanimity, the Pali word is upeka. Upeka is one of the 4 Brahma Viharas, but that's not only where the Buddha taught equanimity. Other Brahma Viharas, metta, like the center which is hosting us, is called metta. And I love the name. And I always say it's better with metta. And I've given a talk there one time, actually. Yes, such a beautiful center. Thank you very much for the work you're doing, metta. Thumbs up to metta. So metta is one of them. And then we have compassion, another one, the second one. The third one is mudita, which is appreciative joy. And the fourth is equanimity. So that's where the Buddha taught equanimity. But really, he taught equanimity in many places. And even we have 10 kinds of equanimity, but that's beyond now the scope of this talk. Yes, I need to give 10 talks if I'm to talk about equanimity, you know, 10 talks. But so we have found equanimity in feelings, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. We have equanimity in the 7 factors of enlightenment. We have even equanimity in efforts, right? Not using too much effort and little effort. We have equanimity even in jhanas, concentration, neither pain nor pleasure, you know. So we have really equanimity in mindfulness itself. We have to really be, when we practice mindfulness, we have to have equanimity. You know? We have equanimity in vipassana. We call it vipassana equanimity, insight equanimity, whereby we start seeing things as impermanence, as unsatisfactory, as selfless. So the more we see all those 3 characteristics, we talk about the equanimity of insight. So as I'm saying that this is a short talk, I'm going to confine myself to equanimity, really more of seeing things, in other words, having a balanced mind, seeing things, but also beings, not only things, but beings, equanimity about beings. That's called Brahma Vihara equanimity. That's what we're going to talk about. The rest we'll talk about maybe in the future, other kinds of equanimity. So now, equanimity is a quality of the heart and mind that remains balanced, centered, and grounded when facing difficult situations in life. So it's equanimity is seeing and really responding to things, beings and circumstances which are with an unprejudiced mind state. Yes. So in other words, without reacting situation, but responding to whatever situations we're in, because there's a difference between response and really reaction. Reaction is based more on our prejudices, wanting or disliking and liking. It's more autopilot. Our liking sometimes because of our desire. Really some biases like fear, aversion, confusion, those are prejudices. But with actual responding is really more of being judicious, really coming from a place of understanding, from a place of loving kindness, presence of compassion, and all that. So to have a balanced mind is to see all people and all situations impartially and judiciously, without condemning or judging the things we dislike or like. So for me, bringing some kind of distinction between judgmental and being judgmental means, again, being prejudiced. When you are judgmental, then you are not having equanimity, because being judgmental means that you are basing on some of the mind states like greed, hatred, delusion, and confusion. But actually being judicious is different from being judgmental. Judicious is like you're discerning situations as they come. You discern them based on understanding, based on wisdom, and all that kind of thing. So, of course, we know this quality of the mind, we need it very, very much, because, as I told you, life is always punctuated by a series of ups and downs, you know. So now we have really defined what equanimity is as a mind state, and then we know what it is. Now, the next question is, how do we, actually, we should really address why first. Why should we practice this? Of course, we need to be at peace with ourselves and others. We need peaceful mind. Otherwise, our mind, instead of being in peace, is going to be in pieces. I always want to play with words. Yeah, situation comes in your life and your mind's like in pieces, you know. So what you want to be is at peace, you know. Yes. Yeah. So I remember one time I was walking in New York. I saw a sign. It's during Halloween. It would say, "Rest in peace." Rest, R.I.P. Rest in peace. And then that put a big cross there and say, "Rest in pieces." Rest in pieces. So in other words, most of our time when the ups and downs comes, we are really into pieces. We cannot put things together, you know. But equanimity can help us to put those pieces together and become we become peaceful, you know. So then why the Buddha really gives some of the reasons why we have to practice equanimity. He gave it in metta, the 11 benefits of practicing metta. Of course, there are 11 benefits of practicing metta, but Buddha Gosa, who is a commentator in a book called The Path to Purification, he said that actually those 11 benefits applies to all 4 Brahmaviharas. In other words, if you're practicing compassion, mudita, and equanimity, all those applies actually. So what are those? We can recap them. You sleep peacefully. You sleep well, in other words. If you practice equanimity, you will be able to sleep very well. The same benefit of practice metta. And then, of course, the second one is you don't have nightmares. You don't have nightmares, so you have Dhamma dreams, in other words. So you wake up really also peacefully, and you wake up very well. You know, some people really have a difficulty to wake up. They wake up when they're confused and the mind's not fresh. So in other words, the third benefit that you wake up very well. Right there, those benefits, the 3 benefits really applies to sleeping well. You sleep well, you don't have nightmares, and you wake up very well. And you know, sleep is a very good way to recharge ourselves, and the mind can be fresh. Most of the time, people who don't sleep very well, they are thrown off the balance in their life. Actually, yes, you are not productive if you really didn't have a good sleep and all this. So this is very, very important benefits, and these are trade-off of practicing equanimity. And then another one is you become friendly to human beings, right? When you are not having equanimity and you are talking to people always, you are angry, you are really vicious. So then no people want to associate with you. People don't want to associate with you. So friendly to human beings, and of course, friendly to non-human beings, like animals, let's say animals. Number 6 is friendly to heavenly beings. Heavenly beings. Number 7, we can say in that number 7 is more of you are protected by, you're protected by fire, weapons, and poison. So, my friends, this is a figurative speech, all right? This is figurative speech. Don't go into the fire of Sydney, forest fire, because you have equanimity. Oh, why are you going to the fire? There is no need firemen. And you don't know protected because you learned from this monk from Uganda that the benefit of equanimity is to be protected by fires, and you go there. Actually here, the Buddha, what he made is the fire of greed, hatred, and delusion. You're protected from them because actually when you practice equanimity, you really actually sidestep these mental states like greed, hatred. You're no longer pulled in hatred and anger and desire and all this kind of thing. And equanimity is actually a high state of mind, which really speaks to wisdom and understanding. So that's a benefit of being protected by fire, poison, and weapon. This is again figurative. Of course, you have what we call good complexion, beauty, inner beauty. I would call it inner beauty. And normally I say meta cosmetics. If you really actually practice meta, you have meta cosmetics. But I think now let us talk about upeka cosmetics. When you have equanimity, yeah, you really actually wear that kind of good complexion, or yes, so that that beauty. Then number 9 is you gain concentration easily. You gain concentration easily. Why would you gain concentration easily when you practice equanimity? You see, the reason why we don't gain concentration because the mind is pulled on extremes, bad, good, anger, desire. So as the mind is in constant pull and push, then we don't have that equilibrium, So then once we practice equanimity, the mind is going to gain concentration easily. Number 10, we die unconfused, We die unconfused peacefully. And number 10 is very, very important because from a Buddhist point of view, when at the point of death, we should really maintain a calm mind, a balanced mind. And that will determine our next destination. If we die confused, then actually our destination also will arrive in a very confused way. Just imagine as you start your trip, and you don't see your keys of the car, you don't see your wallet, and you really start the journey when you're confused. So as you reach the destination, you're not peaceful, That's why for me, when I'm traveling, most of the time, I prepare what I want to do next day, and I make sure my bag is really packed, so that when I'm about to leave, I just pack things and go. But as I just learned the hard way. Most of the time, I had to really look for so many things that I'm taking, and I don't have enough time. Yes. So really, actually pack your stuff. In other words, having equanimity, it helps you to really pack very well in your life, so that as you're making that transition to a new life, you have equanimity. So that's the benefits of that. Number 11, again, if you don't attain the highest goal, which is enlightenment, final enlightenment, at least you go to Brahma world, where this Brahma world is the heavenly world, where we all know the life in the Brahma world is very wonderful, is happiness and all that. And the reason why you may not really, why you will not attain the highest enlightenment is because of some attachment. So if you still have some attachment, still you have a consolation price of going to heavenly world, we call Brahma world. So those are 11 benefits of practicing equanimity. You can add more if you want, but at least that's a good start. Why should we practice equanimity? Now the next discussion is more how. how to practice equanimity is again, especially for beings. I will do for beings and for also for things. Yes. For things to begin with, it's more of accepting things as they are. The things as they are, and just of course situations. I'm talking about situations and that things. We just have to accept things as they are. But with acceptance, I would really qualify it with what we call wise acceptance. Wise acceptance, because this is not passive acceptance of things. Yes, okay, this thing happened. Oh no, what can I do? Is how things are. No, really to really look at situation in our life and see, well, I cannot change this situation, but can I accept the way how things are? This is very, very important. Of course, with situations and things, again, we have to practice mindfulness, knowing what's happening in the present moment. That's also very helpful. Another one is really, of course, looking at how things are impermanent. Things are changing. Things are changing. There's a monk called Ajahn Chah. Uh, they ask him about there's a cup that he used to use for drinking tea, and they say, well, this cup is going to break. I think the story is like that. And he looked at the cup. He said, the cup is already broken. So I'm not going to get attached to this cup. It's already broken. So he's not surprised that when it breaks, that's a new thing to him. For him, he's seeing it as already broken. So knowing that things are already impermanent, that also helps to cultivate equanimity towards things. These are teaching already, of course, things and situations, and also knowing the unsatisfactory nature of the experience. All our experience are unsatisfactory, whether it's going to be happiness, whether it's going to be suffering. Either way, it's going to leave us unsatisfactory. Those are teachings that are helping you to deal with our life, the very difficult situations, chaotic world. The world is chaotic. Then you say, what can I expect from this world, which is impermanent? So always it's going to be unsatisfactory. So I think also going to the teaching of anatta. Anatta means impersonal nature of the experience. Things are not personal. We take things too personally. And we suffer a lot in this chaotic world because we take things too personally. When somebody says something, you take things too personally. Yes, like for instance, I was traveling one time from Sweden to Norway. And it is a whole night. The bus was traveling the whole night. And of course, by the time it arrived in Oslo, people wanted to go for bio break. And they found out the bathrooms were locked. And there comes one guy who was from America. And he said, whoa, he was so angry. He said, this is anti-America. Then I wonder why, I mean, what has Norway has to do with America? He said, well, how things are, the bathrooms are locked. And of course, we all there wanted to go to the bathroom, but we just have to care. For us, we just have to maintain a calm mind state. Yes, so and it was about 6 a.m. because it was overnight bus from traveling from Sweden to Norway. So we really have to know that it's not personal. There's not the person is not locking that bathroom because he's waiting for you to come and you find it locked. You see? So in other words, we have to take situation as impersonal. So those are a teaching we are really talking about right there. For one is mindfulness. Really, mindfulness also calls for acceptance. And then we have seeing things as impermanent, just as the wind when they're blowing, you have to look at it as impermanent, changing. You don't contend with winds. So you just have to tap into, wow, it's changing all the time. Yeah, then in the unsatisfactory nature of that experience, and also the impersonal nature of those experiences. And also knowing actually that everything comes due to causes and condition, right? Knowing that everything comes due to cause and condition, and situations on this chaotic world also they will go according to cause and condition. For instance, when we had COVID, we had that virus. It came due to cause and condition, and also it's a cause and condition that we make it go. So when we are in that situation, we don't despair. We just get more prepared. We put masks and we do what need to be done, but we don't really. We are not blown away. We are not carried away with this kind of situation. Now, this is more of having a balanced mind towards situations and things in general. But let's go to how really we can practice equanimity towards beings who annoy us. Beings, really, we're talking about human beings, they insult you, you do good things, you do 99 good things, 99 good things, and you do only one thing, which is very bad, and they just discount you. They think you're a terrible person. They really forget about you. They really blame you, These are beings, And also people make you angry, And also you make other people angry, Now, how are we going to practice how to have that balanced mind so that we can face our adversaries, we can face our friends with great confidence, whether they are doing us good things or whether they are doing bad things, but still we are really facing them with a balanced mind. So the teaching on karma is very, very helpful. The teaching on karma, the more we understand the teaching on karma, the more we can actually stay with a balanced mind in case of chaotic situation related to people. So all the teaching of karma is all, of course, is evolution. That's what karma is. But every act we are doing, behavior, let's talk about behavior, bodily behavior, physical behavior, mental behaviors, which is motivated by greed, hatred, delusion, fear, which is, let's say, unwholesome state of mind, has a potential to bring results. It has a potential to bring results based on the ethical conditions, So, and the opposite applies true. If we do things, our behaviors, bodily behavior, verbal and mental behaviors are motivated by the opposite of unwholesome states of mind, which is wholesome, like generosity, loving kindness, compassion, courage. So it has a potential to bring wholesome results, again, based on the ethical background of that. So now that's the love karma, and every time we have to remember this teaching on love karma. This is actually part of right understanding of the noble in the Noble Eightfold Path. That's one of the first part of the Noble Eightfold Path is called right understanding, understanding the love karma. So now we really it has to be a daily practice. It has to be a daily practice. We practice this teaching on love karma by reflecting mindfully. I'm the owner of my karma, born of my karma, live related by my karma. And you've had this reflection, it's very, very important. But before we start that reflection, because I'll ask you some of that, your 15 minutes like that to do some kind of reflection. But I'd like to tell you something, that equanimity should not be confused by indifference. Indifference, it means turning a cold shoulder towards situation or towards beings, and you don't care. It's I don't care about you. But most people, even early translation of Pali, amazing how it was talking about equanimity as indifference, but is actually what we call a near enemy. Something that masquerades itself as equanimity, but it's not. It's not. You can make a very, very clear distinction that really indifference is based on your prejudice, is based on confusion, that and no care attitude we call, I would say, ignorance. You are ignoring the situation. Yeah, but equanimity, actually, you do care and you are wise to know that, okay, this something is happening, but you prefer to have an impartial mind in order to address the situation. So the near enemy then of equanimity is actually having desire and aversion towards something. That's the opposite, the far enemy. Sorry, that's the far enemy. While indifference is a near enemy that masquerades as equanimity, yet it's not. But this having mental state like anger, aversion on one side, and then on the other side, attachment, greed, and all that. That's the far enemy, which is what we mean by the opposite of equanimity. Because equanimity is about sidestepping those mental states, right? So that should be very clear so that you know what's really the near enemy and the far enemy. So now I have come up with an acronym which is called R.A.I.D. R.A.I.D. Yeah, R stands for, and I wrote it in my book here. This book is called Sowing Seeds of Peace. Actually, is a Roman Catholic father who asked me to write this book in Uganda. It's printed in Singapore and USA, and I think another one in Uganda. So really, I wrote some of the things that I felt that, because this is a priest, a Catholic priest asked me to write a book. He told me not to feed it with Buddhist jargon, to make it very clear and plain. So I came up with a few things and in a way that can make this world understand what it's all about. So I came up with an acronym. R stands for recognition that all beings want to have equanimity, actually. All beings want to have a peaceful mind, very equal mind, equanimous mind. Everybody nobody want to be in pieces. Everybody want to have equanimity, right? So that recognition that it's a desire for everyone, even an insect, actually, for me, I see an insect and I watch them as they're walking. Once they reach a block or a piece of wood, they just reach it and turn that way. So in other words, it doesn't have a chaos. Even an insect doesn't have a chaos in its way, So that recognition that everybody wants to have a balanced mind is R. And A stands for accepting that all, in other words, what you're accepting is one's intention, action, and really neither punishment or rewards. It's just only really knowing that this is a universal law of cause and effect, In other words, accepting the law of karma. Most people actually say, oh, no, this law of karma is Asian mambo jumbo, I don't believe in law of karma, People write off things like that. But then you say, why are they putting shoes? They should walk barefoot. Yeah, so they know that not putting shoes, it will bring some kind of injury to their feet, But they say, well, for us, we don't believe in law of karma. Especially when the law of karma come with rebirth, because those are twin teaching, there is a kind of discount it very quickly, karma and rebirth. No, that's not what we believe in. But when they go out in the house, they leave the house, they put on shoes and they walk on the ground, they don't walk barefoot. That means they actually just stubbornly refuse to know that there is a law of cause and effect, which is natural, So anyway, for me, that acceptance is very important if you want to have equanimity. Another, in R.A.I.D, I stands for inclining your mind towards equanimity. Inclining your mind is very, very important, in fact, because really this is in your mind, so your mind should be inclined towards equanimity. The Buddha said that whatever you incline your mind is what you become. So if you always incline your mind towards chaos and you move always people who are chaotic and you prefer situations which are chaotic, always you're going to have chaos, you don't have equanimity. But if you always incline your mind towards balance, so no, I don't want to be in that kind of negative mind states. I don't want to be in negativity. There's a lot of negativities around, So then you really incline your mind to peace. Always you're a person who always want to have equanimity. You always create those conditions for equanimity. And the D stands for developing. developing equanimity in thoughts, in speech, and also in action, So in action, in thought and speech, we can speak with equanimity. Most people who don't speak with equanimity, then they're always very harsh. They don't tell the truth. They always tell meaningless speech. So that comes to even what we call right speech in the Noble Eightfold Path. Then also in action, we have to, of course, maintain right action in the Noble Eightfold Path. That right there, and right thoughts also we have to practice. So in other words, when I talk about develop equanimity, it means start developing equanimity in your thought by having right thoughts, in your speech by having right speech, in your action by having right action. Right there is part of the three. It's like three parts of the Noble Eightfold Path is right there. And of course, as I told you, you need mindfulness. That's the fourth. So really, by practicing the Noble Eightfold Path, if you know the Noble Eightfold Path very well, if you know it very well, that path is the way to cultivate equanimity. If you don't remember the Noble Eightfold Path, I can remind you Visa, MasterCard, and American Express. So those 8 credit cards you need to practice equanimity. Visa, right view, vision, right intention, right thoughts, right speech, right action for the Visa. MasterCard, right mindfulness, and right concentration. Then you keep on going. So anyway, I would like you to sit down because I need some 5 minutes of you. And I'd like to guide you in some kind of meditation on equanimity. So sit comfortably, feel at ease, let go the past. I'm going to repeat some of these phrases that I'd like you to reflect on. And of course, not mechanically, but really reflecting on deeply with mindfulness. Take a few slow, deep breaths to relax. See if you can abide in the present moment and relax your body and your mind. And be ready to receive these teachings of the Buddha. And see what works for you. Some of these phrases may not resonate with you, but you can always create few phrases that can resonate with you. I'm just going to begin. All beings are owners of their intentional action, heirs to their intentional actions. Their happiness or unhappiness depends upon their intentional action and not on my wishes. Each phrase, I'd like you to spend about 3 breaths. In breath, out breath, and breathe in that phrase. Breathing out that phrase. Reflecting on these words deeply, their meaning. All beings have their own journey according to their own intentional actions. Joy and sorrow arise and pass away. This is part of the journey. Whether I understand it or not, things are unfolding according to the law of nature. Things are as they are right now. This is how it is right now. May I accept and open to how things are right now? May I accept and open things just as it is? No matter how I might wish things to be otherwise, things are as they are. I care for you, but I cannot control your happiness and unhappiness. May my heart and mind be at ease with the outer and inner changing conditions of life. Gain and loss arise and pass away. I determine to remain unshakable. Pleasure and pain arise and pass away. I determine to remain unshakable. Praise and blame arise and pass away. I determine to be unshakable. Fame and disrepute arise and pass away. I determine to remain unshakable. Birth and death are part of a life. I determine to embrace it. So you can really reflect along these lines, even about life. Some of you have lost some of your parents, relatives. You can reflect along these lines. Life is uncertain. Death is certain. So that really helps you to have equanimity towards life and death. May all beings be well, happy, and peaceful. May all beings be able to meet the chaotic world with an equanimous mind. Thank you very much for listening. I offer this for your reflection. Thank you very much for listening. Okay. Thank you. So now this is almost 1 hour. The next 30 minutes, I'll open it for Q&A.
Yes, thank you so much, Bhante. That was incredible. I really, really enjoyed it. And I love the fact that there was the talk, there was the practice, and the 8 credit cards. That's amazing. So I got Visa, I think. So we got right view, intention, speech, and action. I didn't get the other 4 though.
Okay, MasterCard.
Yes.
MasterCard is mindfulness and then concentration.
Yes. Okay.
And American Express,
Yes.
E stands for energy.
Yes. What about livelihood?
Livelihood is actually alimentation, is a very difficult word. It's alimentation, which is not a very common word, but you can check it. It really points to livelihood. Alimentation. ALIMENTATION. Alimentation.
There you go, my friend.
Yes. 3 credit cards.
3 credit cards that we need. That's all we need. I love it. It's a great way to remember it too.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Bhante. I love the creativity in your teachings always. So thank you. And also for those who are online, I've also placed the link for people to download Bhante Buddharakhita's book, Sowing Seeds of Peace, that Bhante just referred to. And Bhante, if you're okay with it, I could also link that into the YouTube description below for those who are on YouTube, and you can download
Yes.
that as well. Perfect.
Yeah, definitely. I'm okay. I'm okay.
Great, thank you. And for those who don't know, we also have a sister organisation called Lotus Library. So we set that up so that we can share Dharma books for free online. So Bhante, we could also include this book on there as well.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, so
Yeah.
now we're going to move into question and answers. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask the questions. You can unmute yourself, or those in person here, you can just ask your questions. Or for those who prefer chat, you could also write your questions into the chat as well. So Bhante, we've got some questions already. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, first one.
Mhm.
Hi Bhante, thank you so much for your teachings. My mum is easily affected by personal objects that bring back old memories, such as old photos of deceased family members, etc. She knows this is her own attachment and it's not really the past that's haunting her, but she herself is the one haunting the past. But do you have any tips on how she can be more equanimous?
Let me see. She knows that this is her own attachment and is not really the past that is haunting her, but she herself is the one haunting the past. But do you have any tips? This is about letting go. This is about objects as they really are. Look at the objects of attachment. So normally I will break it into what's really objects. Of course, we have sentimental values around our objects, things that our friend gave and all that. But then look at again, they come back to the teaching of impermanence, right? We ourselves are impermanent. We can't hold on to these things forever, you know. So we are already impermanent ourselves. These objects, we are going to leave them behind, you know. So then we look at that, and then we look at also the objects are impermanent, are changing all the time, you know. They are fading away in their colors, and also at some stage they really disappear completely. So that's really teaching of impermanence. The second one is the teaching. Look at the 4 elements. In Buddhism, we have 4 elements. 4 elements: the earth element, water element, fire element, and earth element. Every object is made of those primary elements, including us. So we're looking at that even you human beings are just elements. Of course, we have mind, but let us look at element because of the objects don't have a mind. Let us just compare, right? Compare the 4 elements and also the object as 4 elements. So what's the value we have is just attached to it. The object themselves, they don't know, even they don't know. It's just there are 4 elements. Really, there's earth element, which is like a hardness and softness. Fire elements there, which is hotness and coldness. And then there is water element, cohesiveness and fluidity. And then there's also air element, which is pressure, of course, is one of the properties. We have expansion and contraction. So now when you look at objects, they're just elements. We have added something because they are given to us. So I think knowing the true nature of the things are, that already can help so that we don't really inject into our sense of self. That's where the problem comes. So now we believe in that we have a self, which is ownership, is owning it, you know, right? So now what we do with the objects, we kind of inject our sense of self into those objects so that now there's no difference between the object and ourselves. So now reflecting at ourselves as we have 5 aggregates, all right, that are like, which is like a physical body with feelings, we have what called perceptions, we have emotions, and then we have, and that where the emotion comes, that's where the attachment is. And then looking at our consciousness, those are what we call the 5 aggregates of clinging. So now when we look at that's what we are, and then we have what calls impersonal nature of these processes, which we call five aggregates. They are just impersonal, changing all the time. Then we identify what the object we have attachment. What part of the aggregate is that? Is the fourth aggregate, which is the mental formation. And then we look at carefully attachment. Attachment is also changing all the time. So you start practice mindfulness of the attachment. Okay, whenever you feel attached to that object, you become mindful of it. The more you become more mindful of attachment, and we see it increasing, decreasing, the more you become more familiar how much we inject a lot of our attachment to those objects, and then we start to let go of our attachment slowly but slowly. It may not happen in a day, but the more I become more mindful of our attachment and our sense of self we inject into objects, then we see them as impermanent. We see it as these attachments changing all the time. We see it as unsatisfactory. And then we see also the impersonal nature of these experiences. And then we can slowly let go of these objects we attached, because we are attached to memories of the past. So I think that's a practice. Let it go, and let it go. That's a practice. Finally, that's where it leads us. In fact, the more we let go, the better we become happier. That means we really actually now hold those objects. I'm going to illustrate like this. This is the object. This is the object. This is my internet. This is the object. This, our practice of mindfulness that I've been giving you, is more of holding everything we have sentimental value like this. It's okay. They're not going to go because we are not attached to them. We are actually not attached to them. We are not detached from them, but we are not attached to them. Detachment means not caring, actually. But non-attachment means we are not investing our energy into holding on things. So now, this is the thing that Sin gave me. Just give you an example. I can hold it like this. Wow, when I was in Australia in 2018, we went for that opera house, and Sin gave me this thing, and so I continue to hold on like this. It's not going to go away. I'm more mindful. I have equanimity towards it, and I'm holding it. The problem, if we are not mindful, in other words, minus the teaching I've given you, then we start holding in like this. And then when it's going, all our energy go like this. This is what we call clinging, and this is what we call attachment. This means holding on, holding things, you know. This one, even if, okay, it goes, it can come back, it can go. Sometimes I don't see it, and then I keep it, and it's not in my view for a long time. And then it come back, it can come and go. I find it, I use it. So there is that lightness with mindfulness and equanimity toward things and let go. So there's that no problem. The problem is this: if you're not mindful, then it's going, also you're going. Every time we are thinking about it. So that's the energy we invest in. You don't want to let it go. And in fact, finally, at the point of death, that's why most people struggle a lot. They struggle a lot because they don't want to let it go. Wow, that's where I was in Sydney. Thank you very much. That's lovely. I was a young monk then. Wow, I was in a botanical garden. Wow, this is good memory. I remember two of us were walking. Thank you very much for those good memory. But I'm going to let go of that memory. Okay, I think that's the answer to the question. I think this is just my opinion.
Thank you so much, Bhante. Excellent answer. And a follow-up with that is another question. Hi, Bhante. I have made a conscious effort to replace unwholesome hobbies, such as scrolling on social media, with more wholesome hobbies, like gardening. But I feel strong attachments when I am gardening, as well as strong desire to continue cultivating more and more plants. It's never ending. Is it okay to gain pleasure from this activity? How can I have equanimity in this pursuit? Thank you, Bhante.
Was it in a chat, or you just read it?
It's in the chat.
Let me see, where is it? Okay, this one. Okay, thank you, Bhante. Do you think equanimity can easily be, is that where is the question?
Yes. I have made a conscious effort to replace unwholesome hobbies.
Just a moment. I don't see it. Just a moment.
Okay.
I want to read it. I want to
Yes.
read it myself.
Yes.
Okay, just a moment. Just a moment. I'm looking for it. Oh, yes, it's here. Okay. Hi, Bhante. I've made a conscious effort to replace unwholesome hobbies, is calling on social media, with a more wholesome hobbies, gardening. But I feel strong attachments when I'm gardening. So in other words, you're attached to the wholesome, also good things. So as well as strong desire to continue cultivating more and more plants. It's never ending. Is it okay to gain pleasure from this activity? How can I have equanimity in these pursuits? Okay, my friend. Now, this is a very, very interesting here. So in other words, is attachment to wholesome things, Yes, actually, we have to distinguish the three kinds of desire thing. Three kinds of desire. When you know because when you use the word English, when you use English, always we are using maybe the same word and we don't make such distinctions, like for Pali language is very clear. It really makes things very, very clear that what you're talking about, So the first word in Pali, which I would like you to understand, is called chanda. Chanda, it means desire to do. It's more of neutral, Desire, when you use it alone, is neutral. And really, we use it even in our monastic tradition, which means approval. Like we monks, when we are going for our transactions, really, or Sangha transaction means really kind of ceremonies. You can say rituals like for confession, like that. And some monks may not attend, and we ask them, okay, please, can you consent? Can you give your approval so that we continue with our monastic transactions? This is not money involved, but I'm talking about activities, So now we use this actually up to now, chanda, please give your chanda. In other words, give your approval, So I think this is no problem if it's just alone. The problem where it becomes problematic with unwholesome, we put the word karma with K-A-M-A, karma, which means sensuous world. So in other words, approve of the sensuous world, which means sensual pleasure, attachment or desire for sensual pleasure. Let us put it that way. Desire for sensual pleasures. Desire for sensual pleasures, it's actually considered unwholesome, and we can really put it that way, that like it's desire to be desireful. In other words, we cannot satisfy our sensual pleasures. So one pleasure after the other. So we call it unwholesome. Yeah, because it leads to blind end, so there's no end to it. So that one we put the word karma and add chanda to really mean that you're uprooting the sense world to take over you, to really to be the boss. you're approving the sensuous world to be the boss. You just follow, that's what it means. So now that is called kamachanda. But then there is another word which is called dhammachanda, which means approving the Dhamma world to take over. In other words, things that are wholesome to lead you, So that's okay. That's okay. So now these two kinds of desire, of course, with the kamachanda, there's a more similar words of kamachanda, like we have craving, we have clinging, we have longing, ambitions. So really, actually, all that belong to that one. So desire to be desireful. So when it comes to dhammachanda, it's desire to be desireless. So there's a desire to attain nibbana, it's okay. Desire to be desireless. In other words, if you have a thorn in your body, you have to bring a tweezer to remove it. So in other words, though you're injecting some stone there, in Africa, it makes sense. I don't know about in Australia, but in Africa, we used to walk in the bush and you get a thorn into your body and you have to look for a safety pin. Both are sharp objects, but one, it's helping the other one. So in other words, desire to meditate, desire to do gardening is no problem. It's no problem. It's desire to be desireless, Yeah, but the question is whether that desire itself can really be also a problem. Well, it can be problem, so you have to control that one. In fact, Ajahn Brahm drew a certain cartoon in one of his book, and he said that end of suffering. And there was a signpost which said end of suffering, and then he was attached to the signpost. End of suffering. So in other words, even this kind of desire, we have to let go those desires. Even Dhammachanda. In fact, do you know why in Metta Sutta they talk about number 11? If you don't attain the final enlightenment, somebody will go to a Brahma world. That's the number 11 benefit. Is because of Dhammachanda. Somebody can still have some stresses of attachment to beings, right? Because when you practice metta, you may not have enough mindfulness to break loose all the desires. You still have some desires. But the Buddha talks about the consolation price of if you don't attain the highest, which is enlightenment, then you go to Brahma world. Have you ever asked the reason why? The reason is you practice metta, you may not overcome all the defilements of greed. And if you still have greed, you cannot attain full enlightenment. So in other words, the reason why you wouldn't attain the final enlightenment, though you practice metta with all its benefits, is because you still have Dhammachanda. So now, even you, my friend, cultivating more and more plants is wholesome. It's good to do it. But at some stage, you have to let go. Desires, whether they're made of silver or gold, they are still chains. Are we together? Chains are chains, whether they're made of gold or copper or silver, they are still chains. So please let go, my friend, slowly by slowly, your attachment to gardening and all these things. But continue to have that chanda. Still, you should have that desire to do the gardening, but knowing in the background that at some stage you have to let go of them. That's my answer.
Thank you.
I hope it's clear. Especially chains are chains. Chains are chains, whether they're made of gold. So your chains are made of gold, my friend, cultivating plants and all that, but still is a chain.
Very good. Thank you. We've got 3 more questions, so hopefully we can get through them by the end. So the next question, Bhante, is at 8:07, if you want to read along with me. And it's from
what is it? What is it? How do you, those numbers? I don't see them.
Oh, that's okay. It's from Eugene, and it starts this way. Thank you, Bhante. Do you think equanimity can really easily encourage us to not put forth serious effort to help ourselves and others? For example, we may think it's impossible for us to become enlightened or help reduce war and poverty. I wonder how we can deal with this.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Bhante. Do you think equanimity can easily, really easily encourage us to not put forth serious effort to help others? Yes, if you misunderstand, by saying that, do you think equanimity can really easily encourage us not to put effort? No. Equanimity cannot, because equanimity is actually a high state of mind that culminates into all the efforts, culminates into right understanding. It culminates into Visa, MasterCard, and American Express, which has all the effort, the right effort. So equanimity is, in fact, is a factor of enlightenment. In any case, it just encourages you. It cannot discourage you from putting forth serious effort to help others. In fact, it gives you a lot of effort to help others. It's through equanimity that I'm able to establish Uganda Buddhist Centre. Really. With all sleepless nights I spent, starting in a tent, and all the effort, the determination, and all. If I didn't have equanimity, I just arrive here, they say, you Masai, what are you doing here? You are going to a mental hospital, coming from a mental hospital. This is what people are telling me, and then I'm meeting difficulties, human resources difficulties, financial difficulties to establish a center. Even now it's ongoing. I have a school, primary school, preschool, Buddhist primary school, the first one in Uganda. I mean, what keeps me going is equanimity. It doesn't discourage you. I have even a medical center now. I have Buddha Medical Center, really to treat the children who get sick. If anything that keeps me going is equanimity, knowing the hardship you're going to and rise up to it. In fact, when we talk about what to call challenges, even the word chaos in Chinese, I had it's a two character. It has a character, two characters. One is the challenge, which is coming from the chaos. There's some kind of challenge, and then opportunities. So in other words, once we really practice equanimity, then we see every challenge as an opportunity to rise up to it. And for me, for that matter, I've already raised words like problem and failures. I don't have that in my vocabulary. All what I have is challenges. And what I'm going to do is to rise up to it. So my friend, let's put it this way. Let me just power up my computer. Just give me a minute. I think I'm losing the power. I just want to power up my computer. Just a moment. Give me a moment.
No problem. That's fine. Everyone, let's be economists as we wait.
Now, the equanimity somebody would have to be is that of what people consider indifference. Indifference is going to discourage our effort to help others, but real equanimity has to have those three credit cards. In fact, it even give you a lot of power actually, and sometimes you don't know even what to do with the power because you really see, wow, that this challenge is feeding to the system. It's just like fuel actually. Fuel, when you have equanimity, is the fuel that keeps you going and even climb mountains which are high that you never thought of climbing. Yes, really actually that equanimity which has wisdom. It's that equanimity that has the wisdom of seeing things are changing, really seeing suffering, which has compassion, which have metta, which has all those ingredients. How can it discourage you? For example, we may think it's impossible for us to become enlightened. Well, if you think it's impossible to become enlightened, what makes you feel impossible to get enlightened is kind of lack of knowledge, because the Buddha said clearly that wherever there's Noble Eightfold Path, there will be people attaining enlightenment, because the word sota is the Noble Eightfold Path, and the first level of enlightenment is called Sotapanna. So when there's Sota, which is the Noble Eightfold Path, then people are going to enter it. It's just like when there is a road to Sydney, then people are going to go to Sydney, so long as the road is there. I'm just being oversimplistic. You can get a chopper also anyway. But what I'm trying to say is that if you believe that is impossible, if you think it is impossible, there's a difference between thinking and the reality. In other words, the thought of your mother is not your mother, So your mother is one thing and the thinking of your mother is another. So now that cannot stop you, of course, and then help reduce poverty and wars. Well, it also depends what you think about poverty and war, Poverty and war can be stopped. Depends on what you think about poverty. Is it the absence of coins in your pocket, or is the absence of ideas? So is this poverty of knowledge? It depends what you define about poverty. War, what do you talk about war? Are you talking about Third World War? Are you talking about a war between Uganda and Kenya? Or are you talking about a war within your mind? Because the wars are in your mind and you can't stop them. And because of the war in your mind, which is have conflicting desires, and there's a war with your conflict with your friend, your family, your community, and that's how it all starts. Wars don't start in Ukraine and Russia; they start in your mind. So if the pieces to be found in your mind, and the wars also can be stopped from your mind. So it depends on what you define one day and the poverty, but also these things can be reduced.
Thank you, Bhante. Excellent answer. But also thank you for all the work that you're doing for the community in Uganda. Absolutely incredible. And we'll also share some information about that on our online, as well as in the YouTube description below as well. So thank you. Bhante, next question. So this is from Mel Moose, so just below the earlier question. And her question is, living in a city, in a society, when caring, there is the experience of restlessness in the mind. How can we know how much seclusion to take to move further along the path?
Yes, okay, thank you very much. There are three kinds of seclusions. There are three kinds of seclusion. You live in a city, in a society, and of course, we all live in a society, including me. I live in a society. Now, an understanding of the word is seclusion from a Buddhist point of view, I think it's very, very important. The Pali word for seclusion is called viveka. Viveka. So you have heard about Vivekananda, one who loves vision. So the first kind of seclusion is called kaya viveka. That means secluding the body. That would mean come to Uganda and have a retreat. We had people even from Australia actually who came to Uganda, 3 of them, and we did the international retreat. Actually, we should keep on going to, we should keep doing that. So going to one of the monastery and meditate, going to your room and really exclude your physical body from others. That's one level of seclusion. And you should have that for most part. Even myself, do that. And you, if you're living in a city, the best time is to physically seclude yourself, especially when you're working. Lunchtime, if these people are just talking, get some break off and go to the botanical garden. You have such a beautiful botanical garden. And then do some walking for about 30 minutes. Then go for lunch. So you should, every day we should really have that seclusion. Every day is very, very important. We should not underestimate the power of physical seclusion, where you are by yourself. Don't wait until you go to the bed and just sleep and you're by yourself. No, just really, even during the day, get some time. And actually, especially going to the botanical garden or the gardens, they have made a scientific research whereby when you're seeing trees and green, there's some brain and happiness area of the brain that changes to green, and really you become very happy. But if you're not seeing these green things, you're always seeing buildings, then it turns into red, and that doesn't bring you happiness. So get into some physical seclusion. The second kind of seclusion is chitta viveka, chitta, mind seclusion. This actually whereby you practice mindfulness. Every time you're seeing things, you become aware of seeing, not liking or disliking. When you're hearing, you actually become mindful of 6 senses. You do what you call mindfulness of 6 senses, and that means keep on top of things. So when you keep on top of things with mindfulness and understanding and wisdom, you are with people, but your mind is secluded from greed, hatred, and illusion, at least from moment to moment. Other than being carried away, you are with people. In other words, you're walking even over the uneven. That means you're mindful. That's why it's very, very important. As you're driving, you practice metta, may you be well, happy and peaceful, and look at your mind state. You know, I always tell people you have a mirror, you know, this mirror like this. I always people when they reach the traffic lights, they put their hair here, they put their lipstick here, they do like this, something like this. So to make their body really look to be in good shape. So I tell people you should have a mirror of the mind, you know, whereby on one side you put a kusala, whereby there's greed, hatred, delusion, and fear on one side, and on the side of the mirror you put what we call the opposite, which is generosity, loving kindness, compassion, metta, and courage, and all. So now when you reach there on a traffic light, instead of, you can do this really quick, you know, like this, and also do the mind. Yeah? Look at your mindset. Is it on the side of greed? Look, put it on generosity. Is it a time of anger, road rage, and all that? Put on metta. And you can write it better with metta. And then you can also write on the steering wheel, mindfulness a day keeps dukkha away. Mindfulness a day keeps dukkha away. So now that means your mind now is secluded. Even when you're with people, it has some kind of seclusion. And then the final seclusion, the ultimate seclusion is when you attend the enlightenment. Before that, practice all the 3 kinds of seclusion. You will stay in a city and you can benefit a lot being in a city, because we are not meant all to be in a forest like monkeys and forest monks and all. All the teaching the Buddha gave was for us who are living in the cities. Thank you very much for the question.
That's great. Thank you, Bhante. I can tell the people here are thoroughly enjoying this talk. Final question. So this is from Zen at Meta. And the question is, thank you, Bhante, for your teachings. Your talks are always refreshing. I had a question about the 7 factors of awakening. Is equanimity the end result of the development of the other 6, or is it just a matter of coincidence that it is the final factor in the sequence? Noting also, though, equanimity is the key mental factor after the other, so-called gross factors cease in the 1st to the 4th jhana. Perhaps it is.
Okay, equanimity is the culmination of all those factors. Yeah, that's it. That's why I say that equanimity is the highest state of mind. Is actually the culmination of all that. With constant mindfulness, then you get energy, and with the constant energy, it keeps on sliding to like that. Then equanimity become the concentration is the precursor to equanimity. Definitely, it is, and of course, even when it's the last one, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't really nurture it along the way. In other words, we should not really sit there and say, "Oh, no, we bring methods of practicing equanimity." I said, no. Let me just practice mindfulness until I finally reach equanimity. No. It's put there as the final one, but in the practice, there are certain ways how we can keep on cultivating so that we can make it strong. That's what I would say. In other words, it's known that we wait. On Monday, we practice mindfulness. On Tuesday, we practice energy until on Sunday, we reach equanimity. No, it's not like that. It's all involved. It's involved, but there is put on highest to show you that it's exalted factor of enlightenment. And once you reach that, then all of them are really working in unison. Before that, it's a part-time. I think that's what I would say.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So I'll take out the 7 factors of enlightenment from the diary in that way and rather practice them as much as possible every day.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Bhante, for such a great session with all of us. Thank you for your wisdom and also your patience in answering our questions. And now I'm just going to pass over the mic to Elise, our MC.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tina.
Thank you.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you, Tina. And thank you, Bhante. I love the creativity and the play on words in your teaching. The mindfulness of day keeps dukkha away. I love that. And yes, and thank you everyone as well for your presence and all the wonderful questions. So for the closing, we would like to invite you, Bhante, for a closing prayer or a dedication of merits, if that's okay.
Yes, it's okay. Okay. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Iti viso bhagavaram samma sambuddho vijacharam sampanno sugatoro kavidu anuttaro prisadama sarati satta deva manusana. Uddho bhagavati swakato bhagavata dhammo sanditi vakariko epasiko opanaiko. Pachattam vedittabbo vinyuhiti. Spatipano bhagavato savakasango jipatipano bhagavato savakasango jipatipano bhagavato savakasango nyaya patipano bhagavato savakasango sami jipatipano bhagavato savakasango yadinam chattari purisa yugani atta purisa poggala esa bhagavato savakasango auneyo pauneyo dakkineyo anjalikaraniyo anuttara punya keta lokasati. Sharing the merit. Akasata Jabumata Deva Nagama Idika Punyatam Anumoditwa Chiramalakantu Lokasasana Chiramalakantu Desana Chiramalakantu Mampara Etavata Chakame Sampadam Punya Sampadam Sabbe Deva Anmodantu Sabbe Buddha Anmodan Sabbe Satta Anmodantu Sabba Sampati Siddhya Imina Punya Kamena Mamimbara Samagamo Satam Samagamo Hotu Yavani Banapati Sabbe Buddha Brapata Pache Nanchi Ambara Maranta Nanchate Jenara Kambandami Sabaso Sabiti Yoga Jantu Sabaro Govina Satumate Vantantara Yoski Diga Iko Abhivadana Siri Sanicha Buddha Pachaino Chattaro Dhamma Vantante Ayuano Sukambala Bot Sabba Mangarara Kantu Sabba Devata Sabba Buddha Nubhavena Sada Soti Vantute Bot Sabba Mangarara Kantu Sabba Devata Sabba Dhamma Nubhavena Sada Soti Vantute Lord Sabba Mangalara Kantu Sabba Devata Sabba Sangan Bhavena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te Sadhu
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Bhante. Hopefully you can visit Sydney sometime soon and visit Botanical
Yes,
Gardens
yes.
again. So before we close, I have some exciting announcements for you all. So next Wednesday, we have Venerable Andrew Williams speaking on the topic of commentary on the 6 perfections. Again, it will be held same time as today, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. and both in person and on Zoom. And this weekend, we have our urban retreat on the path to awakening. So we will have, it'll be with Venerable Chandana, an international speaker, and it'll be both on Saturday 22nd and Sunday 23rd from 9:30 to 5 p.m. And it'll be a 2-day non-residential retreat, and the event is free. So please come along, and note that it's most beneficial if you can participate in both days. Bhante will be discussing different sutras and discourses on each day. But of course, if you can only attend for 1 day, then come anyways. Also, we have a Buddhist pilgrimage in Thailand coming at the end of the year. And that will be led by Venerable Chao Kun Kang. So if you are keen to deepen your Buddhist practice and visit different Buddhist monasteries at the end of the year, spots are limited. So if you're keen to do that, please register. More information is on the website as well. And yeah, so Metta Centre's talks will be online and in person. And if you would like to join Metta Centre's friends group chat, we have a WhatsApp group and link we've posted on the chat. And if you wish to contribute to our emailing list, the email is also on the chat. And yeah, we invite you to continue joining our Metta Centre talks. And see you next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you,
That was
Bhante.
great.
Okay,
Always
bye-bye.
wonderful
Okay,
to meet you.
bye-bye.